Every breakthrough you desire in 2026 will not come from luck, chance, or waiting for the perfect moment, but from the transformation that happens within you first. When a person grows internally, their external world is forced to adjust. If you learn to think differently, act differently, and believe differently, you give life no choice but to respond differently. Every area of your life, your income, your confidence, your relationships, your opportunities, will always be a reflection of the person you are on the inside. People often pray for elevation without preparing for the altitude. They want success, but are not developing the mindset, responsibility, maturity, and consistency that success requires. When you become a person who can handle more, life begins to trust you with more. Financial breakthroughs don't start in the bank, they start in belief. Life shifts the moment you shift. Personal evolution is a responsibility. No one can upgrade your life for you. Even when others support you, teach you, encourage you, or open doors for you, it is still up to you to walk through. Before 2026 arrives, the most important investment you can make is into the person you are becoming. When you rise, everything connected to you rises with you. Too many people focus on fixing their situation instead of fixing themselves. They try to control circumstances, people, and outcomes, but the only thing truly under your control is your own development. When you level up, your environment eventually follows. Surroundings change when you outgrow them. Opportunities appear when you become someone who can see and seize them. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is usually a personal gap. Skills, focus, discipline, accountability, faith, confidence. These are the bridges that take you from I wish to I did. If you spend the rest of this year developing these qualities, 2026 will not look like a continuation of the past, but a fresh beginning with new results. Growth will require discomfort. Evolution never feels easy. You may have to challenge old thinking, break old routines, let go of old habits, or distance yourself from old distractions. Progress requires trade-offs. You cannot stay the same and arrive somewhere new. Every new level demands a new version of you, and that version will be built in the months leading up to the new year. Your current limitations are not permanent. They are simply indicators of where you stop growing. The moment you push past the limits you placed on yourself, you unlock possibilities you once thought were out of reach. The future is not limited. Only your belief about it is. When the belief changes, the level changes. Many people never experience their potential because they wait for motivation to appear instead of building discipline. But discipline is the fuel of self-transformation. When you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen the identity of someone who finishes, someone who wins, someone who deserves the rewards waiting ahead. Becoming your future self means acting like them now. Think how they think, choose how they choose, and behave how they behave. If the version of you who has everything you want wakes up early, learns daily, manages time better, protects their energy, stays focused, and makes powerful decisions, then start practicing that behavior today. You cannot wait until you arrive to begin living like the person you are becoming. Personal evolution will also change how you see problems. When you grow, what used to intimidate you becomes manageable. Challenges that once stopped you become stepping stones. Same world, same circumstances, but a stronger person facing them. That's why real power is internal, not external. It is something you carry, not something given to you. There's a direct connection between inner growth and outer achievement. When you expand your mind, your vision expands. When you expand your skills, your opportunities expand. When you expand your self-worth, your expectations expand. Life is always mirroring who you believe you are on the inside, and that is why personal development is non-negotiable. Your daily decisions are shaping the person you will become. Every book you read, every new habit you build, every skilled hour you practice, every distraction you reject is depositing energy into your future. You won't notice the impact instantly, but when 2026 comes, the difference will be obvious. People will wonder how your life changed so fast, not realizing how many days you invested when no one was watching. When you develop yourself, you also develop your standards. You stop settling for average effort, average environments, average thinking, and average goals. You start demanding more from yourself. And when you demand more from yourself, the world becomes required to deliver at a higher level as well. A transformed person raises the bar so high that the old version of life can't follow them anymore. Everything you want is connected to the future version of you who is bold enough to claim it. That version is waiting to be unlocked through growth, learning, intentional action, and personal elevation. When you start showing up as that version today, the future begins responding immediately, even before 2026 arrives. This year is not just a calendar, it is preparation. If you focus on upgrading yourself, your mentality, your discipline, your habits, and your faith, you will walk into 2026 with the momentum and strength to receive everything that is already waiting for you. Motivation is a powerful spark, but it was never designed to carry you to the finish line. Motivation comes and goes, influenced by mood, energy, weather, challenges, and circumstances. Discipline, however, is consistent. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what needs to be done. When you build discipline, you build a life that moves forward even when emotions are temporary and unpredictable. Most people start strong because motivation feels exciting. But excitement fades when results don't show instantly. That's where discipline becomes the deciding factor. Discipline is what keeps you studying the skill when no one notices your efforts. Discipline is what gets you up early when you don't feel like moving. Discipline is the reason some people succeed while others quit at the first obstacle. There is a myth that winners are always motivated, but the truth is winners are disciplined. They don't rely on emotion to determine their actions. They rely on commitment. They create routines, systems, and daily standards that make success automatic. They don't wake up hoping the day goes well. They wake up with behaviors that make the day productive before it even starts. Discipline is built through repetition. Every time you choose action over excuses, you strengthen the muscle of consistency. Every time you finish a task despite being tired, you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. Every time you do what you said you would do, even privately, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And the most powerful belief a person can hold is belief in themselves. Motivation looks good at the start, but discipline looks even better when results begin to show. The person who shows up daily will always outperform the person who shows up only when they feel like it. It is not about talent, resources, or early advantages. It is about who refuses to stop. And discipline guarantees movement, while motivation only promises momentum. Discipline also brings clarity. When someone is disciplined, they don't waste time asking what they should do today. They already know because they have committed to a plan. They don't waste energy debating whether to quit because quitting is not a part of their structure. They don't lose focus choosing between distractions and priorities because their life is organized around what matters most. Discipline eliminates the internal noise that derails progress. There are days when motivation will not be there. Days when you're tired, discouraged, unappreciated, unseen, or overwhelmed. Discipline is what carries you through those moments. When you rely solely on motivation, you stop when the emotion changes. When you rely on discipline, you continue whether the feeling is present or not. That's how transformation happens, not through mood, but through consistency. Discipline is also the greatest form of self-respect. When you keep the promises you make to yourself, you build a relationship with your own potential. You stop doubting whether you can achieve something because your actions prove that you are willing to honor your goals. This internal respect becomes the foundation for confidence. Confidence does not come from speeches or wishes. It comes from consistent action that proves your capability to yourself. People admire the finished product, but discipline is the unseen process behind every finished product you admire. Success stories are built in the private moments when no one is watching. Extra repetitions at the gym, extra pages read late at night, extra hours of refining a skill, extra mornings of choosing progress over comfort. It's what happens when the world isn't clapping that determines whether the world will clap later. Discipline also protects your vision. It is easy to lose motivation when results are slow. Progress often feels invisible in the beginning. Months of effort may only produce small changes, but discipline allows you to continue even when there is no applause yet. The disciplined person keeps watering the seed because they understand that roots grow before branches appear. They trust the process long enough for the process to pay them back. Without discipline, goals remain dreams. Without discipline, potential remains unused. Without discipline, dreams remain in the someday category. But when you build discipline, someday becomes now, and goals start moving from imagination into reality. Discipline turns desire into development and development into destiny. Discipline also rewires the brain. When you repeatedly choose action over excuses, your brain begins to normalize effort. Tasks that once felt difficult begin to feel natural. Things that once required heavy willpower eventually become routine. The more you show up, the easier showing up becomes. This is how habits are formed, not because the work becomes smaller, but because your capacity becomes larger. Every day you strengthen discipline, you reduce dependence on motivation. You no longer hope for the right mood because action has become automatic. You no longer fear difficult days because you have already built the emotional resilience to get through them. You no longer negotiate with yourself every morning because your priorities have been decided in advance. Discipline frees you from the emotional roller coaster that keeps so many people stuck. When others get tired and slow down, the discipline keep moving at the same pace. When motivation evaporates, the discipline keep going. When progress is invisible, the disciplines still show up. Over time, this consistency compounds. Small daily victories become big long-term success. And while others wonder how the discipline got so far ahead, the truth is simple. They just never stopped. This is why discipline is more valuable than motivation. Motivation inspires a moment, but discipline shapes a life. Discipline is the force that proves to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you are serious about where you are going and who you are becoming. In today's world, comparison has become one of the greatest thieves of personal potential. People spend so much time looking at other people's lives, other people's progress, other people's highlight reels, that they forget to invest in their own development. Comparison distracts you from your assignment, drains your confidence, and shifts your focus from what you should be building to what someone else has already built. When your eyes are always on someone else's journey, you lose sight of your own path. And greatness requires singular focus. Every minute spent comparing is a minute not spent improving. Success demands attention, and attention is a limited resource. If you are constantly checking how far someone else has gone, you are not putting in the work required to move yourself forward. Growth does not come from observation. It comes from action. You cannot study someone else's timeline and expect it to produce results in your life. You must put your time, energy, and discipline into the only person you are responsible for becoming, yourself. People often forget that what they see online is not someone's entire life. You see the celebrations, the victories, the polished moments, the success stories. You do not see the nights of sacrifice, the months of uncertainty, the failures, the insecurities, or the tears. When you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, you will always feel like you are behind, but you are not behind. You are just seeing a filtered picture of someone else's progress while analyzing every flaw in your own journey. There is power in embracing your lane. Every person has a purpose uniquely designed for them. You cannot step into your calling by trying to walk in someone else's footprints. What is meant for you is not going to pass you by, but you can delay it by not focusing on your mission. Some opportunities only arrive when you are prepared for them, and preparation requires concentration. The more you watch others, the less you build yourself, and life rewards builders, not watchers. Instead of comparing, studying is wiser. You can learn from others without measuring your worth against theirs. A successful person can be a mirror, not a measuring stick. Someone else's success should inspire you, not intimidate you. It should prove that something is possible, not convince you that you are behind. Growth comes when you take inspiration, turn it into action, and work on your own path with consistency. Comparison also creates unnecessary pressure. When you think you should be farther than you are, you start rushing instead of evolving. When you rush, you make decisions based on emotion instead of strategy. Greatness takes time. Every extraordinary outcome is built through ordinary days of consistent effort. If you don't appreciate where you are, you never develop what you need for where you are going. Comparing timelines causes people to forget that progress is personal and that everyone's journey unfolds at a different pace. Distraction is a silent enemy. The more you consume other people's progress, the less time you have for your own. You can scroll someone else's achievements for 30 minutes, Or you can use that same 30 minutes to grow your skills, read a book, work on your business, improve your craft, or invest in your future. One path leads to confidence, the other leads to frustration. The outcome is decided by how you choose to use your attention. When you focus on yourself, you strengthen your identity. You stop needing validation from the world because your progress becomes the proof you rely on. You stop worrying about who is ahead or behind you because you realize it has nothing to do with your destination. You stop measuring your worth by comparison and start measuring by growth. Those who focus inward rise faster because they are not slowed down by external noise. Your progress becomes faster when your focus becomes narrower. Many people are praying for acceleration while living in distraction. They want breakthroughs, but their attention is divided among dozens of irrelevant things. Focus is a multiplier. 1 hour of focused effort can produce more growth than 10 hours of distracted activity. When you eliminate comparison, you free up mental space to make progress that actually matters. The journey becomes more peaceful when it is no longer a competition. You stop feeling like you must prove something to the world. You stop chasing achievements for applause. You start working from purpose, not pressure. Calm progress is powerful progress because it is driven internally, not externally. When you build from identity instead of insecurity, you produce results that last. People lose sight of their potential because they are too busy counting someone else's blessings. But the truth is simple: what someone else has does not take away from what you can have. Opportunity is not limited, belief often is. When you stop comparing, you stop blocking your own blessings. You realize that the only person capable of restricting your growth is the person in the mirror. Self-focus allows you to recognize your strengths and weaknesses honestly. Instead of wishing for someone else's gifts, you begin developing your own. Instead of envying someone else's results, you start creating your own. The moment you take full responsibility for where you are, you also gain full control over where you can go. That is the moment true growth begins. Every journey has resistance, and comparison makes that resistance stronger. It turns setbacks into personal inadequacy. It turns slow progress into perceived failure. It turns learning curves into personal criticism. But when you remove comparison, a mistake becomes a lesson. Slow progress becomes progress nonetheless, and failure becomes refinement, not identity. Your assignment is too important to waste time on distraction. Your calling is too valuable to be diluted by comparison. When your focus returns to your growth, everything in your life begins to elevate. Because what you focus on grows, and the more you focus on yourself, the more your life begins transforming in the direction you desire. Protecting your energy is one of the most important disciplines you can master on your journey toward growth. Not everyone is meant to have access to you, and not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Your energy is a limited resource, and where you invest it determines what you harvest in the future. When your environment drains you more than it develops you, progress slows down, confidence weakens, and clarity disappears. Growth requires guarding what influences your thoughts, emotions, and focus. Every person in your life is either adding to your vision or subtracting from it. Some people challenge you, motivate you, encourage you, and make you better. Others distract you, discourage you, or anchor you to old patterns you are trying to outgrow. Learning to recognize the difference is essential. When someone consistently weakens your discipline, breaks your focus, or pulls you into negativity, they are costing you more than you realize. Peace, purpose, and progress are all influenced by who you keep close. You cannot build a strong future surrounded by people who are comfortable in their limitations. If everyone around you is satisfied with mediocrity, maintaining the same habits year after year, you will begin to mirror that energy. Humans adapt to their environment. When you want to grow, you must rise into spaces where growth is normal, ambition is encouraged, discomfort is embraced, and accountability is expected. Your environment shapes your expectations of yourself. Sometimes protecting your energy means having difficult conversations. It means saying no when you used to say yes out of guilt, fear, or habit. It means choosing to disappoint others rather than consistently disappointing yourself. It means setting boundaries even when others don't understand them. People who truly value your presence will respect your limits. People who don't will reveal themselves when you establish them. There are relationships that feel familiar but are no longer healthy. You might have outgrown certain friendships or dynamics. This doesn't make you ungrateful. It means you are evolving. When your mindset shifts, your priorities shift. When your priorities shift, your circle often needs to shift as well. Some people belong to previous chapters of your story, not the chapters you're stepping into. Holding on too long prevents both you and them from growing. Protecting your energy also means limiting emotional exposure. Not everyone needs to know your plans, your visions, your dreams, or your next move. Some people don't want you to succeed. Others cannot handle your success. Some simply don't understand what you're building. When you share too much with the wrong audience, you invite doubt, resistance, and negativity into your mind. Keep your goals sacred. Share them with those who have earned the right to hear them. The wrong voices can influence your confidence more than failure ever could. One negative comment, one discouraging conversation, or one judgmental tone can silence your momentum if you're not careful. People project their fears, insecurities, and limitations onto others. Just because someone else can't see themselves winning doesn't mean you can't. Protecting your energy requires filtering opinions and rejecting anything that doesn't align with your growth. Energy protection also involves emotional self-control. There will be moments where others provoke you, misunderstand you, or criticize your decisions. Growth is learning to respond rather than react. Not every situation deserves your anger, your explanation, or your engagement. Sometimes silence is strength, and walking away is wisdom. The more you protect your peace, the clearer your life becomes. Be mindful of environments that constantly drain you. Some places hold old versions of you, old habits, old expectations, old identity. Every time you return, you feel yourself shrinking instead of expanding. Growth requires putting yourself in environments that challenge you to rise, not return to who you used to be. You cannot elevate while staying in spaces designed for your former self. Your energy is the fuel of your dreams. When you spend too much of it on drama, chaos, arguments, procrastination, or emotional exhaustion, you have little left for creation, strategy, learning, and bettering your life. The most expensive things in the world are not bought with money. They are bought with focus, attention, and emotional strength. You must spend wisely. Protecting your energy also means recognizing emotional triggers and removing them. If certain conversations leave you feeling insecure, certain people leave you feeling small, or certain environments leave you drained, something needs to change. Self-awareness allows you to understand what disrupts your peace and take action to protect it. Peace is not found. It is cultivated through boundaries and intentional choices. Sometimes the person draining your energy is your old self. Old habits, old thought patterns, old reactions, and old excuses can sabotage your growth just as much as negative relationships. Protecting your energy means upgrading your thinking. When your thoughts evolve, your life evolves. When your identity strengthens, your results follow. Growth starts internally, and the inner shift must come before the outer transformation. Choosing elevation means understanding that not everyone can go with you. Some people are temporary companions meant for specific seasons. Holding on to them out of comfort can slow your destiny. There is a difference between loyalty and limitation. You can love people while still choosing not to lower your standards or shrink to make them comfortable. Letting go is not betrayal. It is wisdom when your future requires it. Your commitment to your dream needs protection just as much as your heart does. The world is full of distractions, negativity, temptation, and noise. Only those who guard their energy remain consistent long enough for their work to bear fruit. Focus is fragile. One conversation, one influence, one distraction can derail weeks of progress if you are not intentional about your environment. The path to growth becomes smoother when your circle, environments, and boundaries align with your purpose. When you surround yourself with people who believe in you, encourage you, challenge you, and understand the level you are aiming for, focus becomes easier and acceleration becomes natural. Your energy becomes a weapon. Your peace becomes a foundation, and your environment becomes a catalyst for the life you are building.